Greetings, everybody. We're back around for this live fun times from our own homes and comforty couches and chairs and stuff.
Pretty comfortable.
That was a weird ramble. So
Accurate.
on that note, I was carrying the Super Freak today.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome knife. I need to get one of those in my collection at some point.
That you should.
So how do you like the grind for that M4 versus the grind for the M4 on your bailout?
Bailout slicier for sure.
Yeah. Well, super thin stock, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I am carrying the Azula 2.
Of course
I was
you are.
out doing yard work all day, mowing lawns and trimming trees and stuff. So it's a nice little beefy guy that you can wail on. So
That you can.
For sure. I had my Emerson ZT with me today, 620.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic knife.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't have a knife in my pocket for the first time, I think, ever. But there is a knife right there. So I'm carrying the GTC 0055 from ZT with this weird nightmare of a blade.
The GTC collaboration.
Yes.
That's just funky.
Yeah,
it's so
Frankenstein
funky.
of knives, but
Mm-hmm.
it works surprisingly well.
It is interesting.
Yeah. Just want to jump in here real quick and say what's going on, Darren. It's just
G'day, buddy.
beer across the screen.
beer.
Beer.
I like beer.
I like vodka and Coke.
I wish
I
I
like
had.
beer-ish, or as the Europeans call it, lemonade.
Weirdos.
I like my sugar Joseph is now awake drink, which sometimes does not make Joseph now awake. But I still like it.
Darren is saying that the video and audio aren't synced for him. It looks like a dubbed movie.
Interesting.
Really?
Indeed.
That is an interesting problem.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
None of us actually have the audio.
No, I'd
Because
have
we're
to
gonna turn
run
it
and
down.
grab headphones.
I'm going to check on my phone, so I'm going to mute myself while I do that, so we're not getting weird crossways.
Cool. So in the meantime, while Joe's muted himself and can't defend himself, how hard should we bash him?
Oh yeah. I was before recording. I will now that he's not listening to everything. It's awesome. Like,
Sweet.
You know, he's still listening to us through.
well,
like,
it'll be.
Oh,
it'll be
no.
delayed,
Muted
so-
and can't-
I
That's why I said he's muted and can't defend himself.
I also muted what you guys were saying for a few seconds there, so you got away with whatever you said until I watched the video later.
Perfect. Let's no one tell him until he gets to watch the video what we said about him.
Yeah.
How's it sounding?
Sounding
Good?
Yeah, it was in sync for me, so I wonder if it's an issue on his end. But on my
Fair enough.
phone, it's coming through properly. It may take
Maybe refresh the screen there, Darren. That might help it.
It might be not necessarily the computer on Darren's end, but more Darren maybe.
Oh, well, you have a very large beer written in chat, so.
Mhm.
I mean, Darren does have a very nice computer. Now, him using it might be a very completely different thing. So,
brutal.
We're delayed just enough that he hasn't been able to respond to any of this yet. I'm really curious.
Indeed, the whole delay thing.
Yeah.
While we wait on that,
Mhm.
Nigel asked a really good question in our little group chat that we do, getting ready for the week and stuff like that for the show. Production versions of custom knives. What has worked? What hasn't worked? And what was a disappointment? So that's from Nigel to us. What do you guys feel?
To all of us? Or to the viewers as well?
I believe that like there's 4 of us watching right now. We're still waiting for people to.
Okay.
We can answer on the side and then.
Here, let me beat a dead horse just further into the ground. Disappointment. Yeah, super disappointing. Just terrible.
But you rave about how much you love that knife.
Yeah, I do, but the disappointment is the steel's crap. The IKBS is BS. They could have left the IK out of there. Disassembling this thing is gross. Like, I mean, anytime you're dealing with loose ball bearings, you have to be working inside of like a plastic bag just to make sure you don't lose crap everywhere. The grease or the grit that they leave inside the ball bearing track is what keeps the ball bearings in place. So if you want to clean that, you can't keep the ball bearings in place when you're reassembling the knife, so you have to use something with a bit of viscosity. It's just it's a huge song and dance. It's just not worth the admittedly pretty decent action on it. Caged ball bearings just work so much better.
That's fair. Darren is complaining that he doesn't have the dubbed movie effect anymore, so whatever.
So we'll have to help him out there and do like the horrible Chinese kung fu movies from the 70s and 80s, and just be talking for a little bit before we say anything serious.
That's terrible because with the latency for the video, it actually looks pretty legit. I hate it. Thanks, Nigel.
That's awesome.
I'm not doing that the whole time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for not doing that.
And for me, it may not even be a fair assessment of the knife because the knife is arguably pretty good, but I don't like the Cold Steel AD-15 specifically because it bit me, and like I wanted one for a while.
Hey man,
this has never been a thing that's ever bothered me before. It's weird, but
but
I'm over it.
Not a failure as a design because I think, according to most people, it's pretty bang on to what the actual Demco 80
like the translation.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a failed design. I think you failed.
User error fail.
Not as badly as I failed, though. I had to go get stitches because of that knife. Mind you,
I was close.
I
still have like numbness and like random spots of pain.
I think the scar's pretty much completely healed at this point. See, that's the nice thing about being cut up by a really sharp knife is it doesn't always leave a really noticeable scar. It's still there, but it's too faint, I think, for the camera.
It's completely flush, but if you press on my thumb, you can see the white line that gets raised.
Right.
You two are comparing boo-boos right now, for the record. Like it's.
Oh, I'm not saying it was all that serious, but it was definitely.
We were comparing boo-boos of production knives versus custom knives. Anyways,
I'll tell you what I'm disappointed in right now.
Tell me.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, but seriously, which custom-made production are you disappointed in, Dennis?
Oh, honestly, disappointed in is hard for a custom production. I mean, this thing was funky as hell. I wouldn't say it's a failure, but compared to the customs, I don't think the blade shape is anything wrong with it compared to the customs, but the handle material going cheaped out with the orange G10 instead of some of the very funky woods and titaniums that the custom versions had, right?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
how much would that knife have costed in titanium, though?
Yeah,
it's titanium liners already as it is, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know anything that I'm necessarily. I will say the Thero from CRKT, the millet knives translation that they tried to bring to the CRKT table.
Yeah.
That one doesn't do it for me as much as I wanted it to. That's for sure.
Right.
That one hasn't been as popular in general as much as I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
What's the one with the purple accents? That one's been pretty popular.
Yeah. The Montosa. Yeah.
Montosa, yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I've seen some of the custom versions, and they're really pretty. I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
what
Mm.
the guy's name is that designed it.
I can't remember.
I'm
Yeah.
drawing a blank. Yeah, yeah.
Was it Rogers or something? Was it?
Yeah,
What's
you are
going on,
correct.
Zinks?
Okay.
Hey, Benny.
What are you carrying this week, brother?
Yeah, and what's Darren carrying? If he's carrying something today.
If it's not a sword, I'm going to be disappointed.
The Morgul dagger.
I'm
Does
gonna
Darren
take a
have
wild
any-
shot in the dark. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say Zinx is carrying his Zancudo because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
been a theme for the last month. Yeah.
So what about production versions of customs that were done well? The second part. Oh wait, no, Nigel hasn't answered yet for the things
Yeah.
he found failures. Sorry.
So for my failure, it's going to be a little controversial, and it's because I'm a nitpicky bastard, and they got 95% of the way there, but the Spider Coast Smock, because they changed it so it doesn't have a finger choil anymore, because the customs do, and that bugs me.
I'll accept that.
Mhm.
And the
That
fact
knife
that
with the
it's
finger throw would have been
different.
really nice.
Yeah,
Or
and the
is
fact
really
that
nice.
it's different than what it's based off of, that's like, to me, that's it. It's not a direct translation. They did something else to it.
Well, and that was very controversial in our episode during the scoring and the judging. We had quite a heated debate with everyone's judging when it came to the scorecard because
Yeah.
the objective side of it compared to the personal side of it,
Mhm.
you threw out some zeros or some crap. I think on
So,
that one, or
whatever.
like a one or something, because you're like, I
Yeah.
just hate it. But we convinced you to be a little more generous on the objective side of it. I think
Mhm.
it had initially.
Like I said at the start of that ramble, it was like they were 95% of the way there, and then they
Yeah.
changed that one thing. And it was just like, oh, you were so close.
Yeah.
Tripping right at the finish line. Now, the benefit to that is this is probably one of the easier parts of the blade to modify if you had the equipment to do so. Even some files, you could do it. You'd be sitting there, but you could do it.
Yeah. Just a quick interjection here. Darren is saying that he's carrying Mace Windu's lightsaber right now. So
Yeah, he is.
Wait,
Wearing that big purple shaft.
please don't. I know.
All those meatballs fit.
Oh, spit takes are great, and I did designate this as not fit for children, so that's probably fine. But
There's all sorts of phrasing going on right now that is just uncomfortable.
oh yeah,
Spitting.
yeah,
You
yeah,
like it.
just avoiding. So more than just obviously we started with the disappointments.
Yeah.
But what custom did you see that you were like, they did a damn good job of that? You know, what worked?
I'm kind of on the same boat as Joe there, and I was going to say it's not necessarily custom, but the semi-custom of the Kershaw and ZT Emerson stuff.
Mhm.
yeah.
Those are nicely made.
They make Emerson designs better than Emerson does in house.
Yeah.
And, not counting their custom line, I haven't actually handled any of the Emerson custom stuff. But I haven't seen a Kershaw ZT Emerson that felt inherently flawed, except for when the Kershaws initially shipped with the screws that were too short for the G10 scale side. Aside from that, I think they've done an excellent job. Making sure that the Rockwell's closer to 60, making sure the blades are centered and none of the screws are stripped out of box. Like the really basic shit you should be able to get down.
Mhm.
But
Is that shade thrown at Benchmade?
no, specifically at Emerson.
At Emerson.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And reportedly, the fit and finish, and I always caveat with this, but reportedly the fit and finish has gotten a lot better over the last few years, especially. So maybe this is old criticism.
They have changed. Excuse me. They have changed their pictures on Emerson's website. That doesn't show models with stripped screws on their webpage anymore.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is they were scrambling to get a website together, and they're like, "Shit, we don't have any of these models left. You have one in your pocket. We gotta go take a photo of it." And maybe the screw was stripped somehow at that point. But yeah, I don't. For those of you that hadn't seen at the Emerson website when they did have the strip screws, it was kind of surreal. Like, is that how it ships? Like, it just it wasn't great.
Yeah. You actually showed me that one day there, Joe, and I was pretty appalled.
You certainly were appalled.
Yeah. Yep. Apparently, ZT does production models of customs pretty damn well, because I could throw up this one. I could throw up a couple different Sinkovich designs.
Oh yeah.
That I think are pretty damn good.
And I mean, it's hard. Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, it's going to be harder to say without the custom and the production in hand to say whether it was a success or failure. But it's easier to say with some over others for sure. And that GTC is a nice knife. As gimmicky and weird as it is, that I think ZT did a really good job with it.
It's an art knife, like both in the sense of it's a weird looking thing, but as far as like a craft knife, it works surprisingly well in the same kind of ethos as the way that you set up your bailout, Nigel.
Yeah.
When you thinned out the edge, it just you put the knife down and that whole section of the blade touches down all at the same time in a comfortable position to then do what you need to do. It works surprisingly well, even though it's weird as hell looking.
That is fair. And Dennis.
I don't know. Honestly, there's a bunch of stuff that I would say has done okay for itself, but I'll actually say most of the Ray Laconico designs have been pretty fantastic, like execution, whether it's the ones on drop or mass drop, or whatever you want to call them type of thing, or even the new artisan cutlery front flipper one that they produced.
Right.
Everything I've seen, every time Laconico comes out with another production version of one of his customs, it seems to be just like, I don't know if it's his quality control on like, no, these aren't good enough type of thing, or if he just is selective enough about getting artisan and Fair and Forge, I think, is the guys who did them for mass drop to have them pretty dialed in. So
by all reports, they seem to be pretty well dialed in as far as the overall design is concerned. Like, I can't recall too many videos of people complaining about things that weren't very subjective.
I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that you didn't pick a couple of the knives that I know have been in your pocket recently.
Oh, the Pena. Don't get me wrong.
Even your Sleesh. I figured the Sleesh was in that market as well.
Any of the Marcin designs are really executed nicely by Spyderco, right? But no, honestly, like the Laconico stuff seems to be just like really, really top notch, and that's not just one design too. That's like you've seen like at least 3 or 4 designs by him that are just like, wow, that's a good looking blade, and no complaints about them, right? So.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the most important part, is that it's consistently across the board like that. Having a consistent product
that can be difficult for
more important than some people seem to take seriously.
Yeah, consistency is definitely a major thing, and not all companies can get that down pat for sure.
Yeah, that was a nicer way of saying that than I said it. I appreciate that.
Can only throw so much shade at Emerson in one day. Sorry.
That's it.
Let's see how much.
How much time we got left? Yeah, no.
Is that the end of that question?
I believe so.
Has everybody answered?
There were successes and failures. Was there a third part to that question, or?
It was what worked, what didn't, and then what was a disappointment. And I think didn't work and disappointment kind of go together.
Yeah.
So that leaves us, or leads us into some poll questions that we had up on our Instagram yesterday. Oh, I'm scrolling through too quickly. There we go. Indeed. Yeah, so do you want to start off with our first one there, Nigel?
Certainly.
Indeed.
So we are bringing you some knife fights. First up, we have Zach carrying Ben's Wee Knife Banter versus Ben carrying Zach Compact Swiss Army Knife.
There we go. So that one there, a lot of people seem to think that Zach's got the edge.
What was the actual overall numbers?
The overall numbers is Zach 63%, Ben 37%. And that equates to 22 votes for Zach to 13 votes for Ben. And to be fair, the banter locks, right? I think in a knife fight,
Yeah, it sure does.
knife is the way to go.
Okay, but the compact has some things that you'll never see coming. Like, if you could no spin throw that toothpick, just like a ninja shuriken, yeah, take out an eye from a distance. Ben's lanky; he can get that like reaching in. Like, I don't know, man. It's
Get in there with the tweezers and pluck some hairs.
Yeah.
Zach's too busy giggling about something silly for him to pay attention to.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I expected that to be closer than it was.
Well, and did you all individually vote? I know I did. As
I
one
definitely
of the people.
did. I think it was just me and you that did, though, there, Dennis.
Yeah, I didn't actually vote in them.
I participated because, I got an opinion on that stuff.
For the record, me and you both voted for Ben.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, like I said, I'm thinking about options on that compact that just Zach doesn't see coming.
Mhm.
And Zach, like I said, he's just sitting there with this little tiny knife giggling.
You would hope that Zach would know exactly what was coming. It's his knife.
Yeah.
You got to throw it at him throw some weird angles at him. But yeah, that's be that as it were.
For sure.
Apparently, Zach's got the edge on that one. Yeah.
Apparently. Ahsoka Edge, what's going on, brother? What are you carrying tonight? He wants to know what we're all drinking tonight.
As per usual, I got vodka and Coke. Because I don't like stuff.
That's
well said.
That's
well
such
said.
a that's very much a Nigel answer. I really, yeah,
Chef kiss.
monster, because I'm a basic bitch who needs energy drinks to survive.
From a guy that was complaining about not sleeping for the last 3 days.
Yeah, it's been kind of. I like to think it's not by choice, but it's.
Yeah, and I'm drinking grapefruit juice with some beer for color.
For color.
And I've actually got the house beer on tonight. It's the River Valley stuff that's locally made here in Calgary. So it's made by Big Rock, and it's pretty decent stuff. So
I need to
Very
pick
nice.
up a case of that stuff. I keep forgetting.
I was curious about trying a Rattler that wasn't German or like import, and I got to say, Rickards did a pretty good job with this.
That is good.
Indeed.
Good stuff.
I guess on that note, we can get to our next contenders.
So for round 2, we have Lynn Thompson using the best USA designed Z-Knife Hunter versus Nick Shabazz carrying Lynn Thompson's 2 XL Espadas.
And
Yes.
so I think as a favor to Nick, we tried to steer this as much as we could in his direction.
Well, you do know that Lynn's got that fancy Filipino footwork, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Exactly.
That sweet, sweet footwork.
So in that case, or in this case, Lynn took it 57% to 43%, which
Pretty
is
damn
like
close.
10% better than Ben versus Zach, which is that's cold.
It's
Yeah.
moderate.
So, Ben, we're sorry, dude. Like, Shabazz has got a better chance than Ben does, apparently. Let's go.
That's
Yeah.
harsh.
Against Lynn,
21
no less.
votes for Lynn, 16 votes for Nick,
60.
16 votes for Nick, yeah. The best part about it, first of all, Dennis voted for Nick, which
Yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did. I have it all played out in my mind on how Nick wins that battle.
Do tell.
Nick didn't even vote for Nick, for the record. I actually got a message from Nick Shabazz saying, "There's no way in hell that I could ever beat Lynn. He's a knife lover, not a knife fighter," is what he
You
said.
bet. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He needs to make that into a T-shirt because I would buy the shit out of that T-shirt.
Yep.
Right?
I'm a knife lover, not a knife fighter. Is what he. Yeah.
Dude.
And I've heard him say
With
that
the-
once before.
With the diamond logo in the center. Yeah, I'd buy a pair of
I know.
shirts.
I don't care if the diamonds there or not.
Ah.
Just the words are.
Does that
hilarious.
count as a knife shirt? Can I wear it to work?
Yes. Yes, it does. That would be awesome.
Awesome. Ahsoka Edge is saying here that Lynn Thompson beats Nick Shabazz with a war cry alone, which is probably true.
Well, he's got to be careful not to overdo it because he might war cry the Z Hunter apart.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is
that's,
true.
that's actually
The-
part of my answer. Is yes.
What is that
Yeah,
called?
The Z Hunter breaks and stabs Lynn Thompson.
What is that called? The resonant frequency of the plastic just causes the whole knife to explode.
Well, I was just thinking the vibration of his bravado would shake the screws out.
Oh, I see.
That
tries-
was the brown note, but for plastic.
Yep.
It just makes plastic shit itself.
And screws made out of zinc. Yep.
So yeah, my theory is that the knife falls apart as Lynn's doing his fancy Filipino footwork.
He'll kill him with the shards.
And it falling apart will therefore slice his artery on the wrist. 'cause
Oh, I
that's
see.
the closest thing to where that knife goes from. And as he's falling to the ground, Shabazz fumbles in terror both of the espadas with his hands directly on Lynn Thompson. And then Shabazz puts his hands up in the air and says, "I win." Like it's like,
Just slowly backs out of the room and
slowly
goes,
backs away,
Yeah.
so you can't see him anymore. I'm telling you, that's how it all goes down.
Perfect. Perfection. Oh. And yeah, I don't even know what to say there. There's nothing to say there except for Lynn wins and Nick knows it.
Mhm.
I will also say, actually, Shabazz after that apparently got enough of a smirk out of him that he started following us on the Pokey Factor after he made the comments.
I'm gonna be honest,
thank you
I
for
had a
that,
little bit of a fangirl moment. A little bit.
He noticed
and
me.
that was actually our 900th follower on Instagram.
It sure was.
Super cool.
We're getting so close to 1,000.
We are.
Yep.
We might be putting a giveaway on Patreon that no one joins.
Nobody knows us.
True story.
All right. It's terrible.
So on to round 3 then.
On to round 3.
Alrighty. Coming out of the pits, it's a dog eat dog world. We bring you Cedric versus Ada.
This was the closest by far out of the entire competition. Cedric took it 58% to 42%, which Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's the same percentage or like 1% off from Nick versus Lynn.
Yeah, one off.
But the important thing was the percentage is important, but it was 14 votes to Cedric to 10 votes for Ada. Nobody had that close of a gap except for them.
Okay, what I'll say here. Now, the viewers may have been going off of two factors. One of those factors may have been a weight advantage.
Yeah.
Because if you see, there's definitely a significant weight advantage. The other factor may or may not been how much more cuddly Cedric is compared to Ada, which is a wiry little husky that you're just like runs around like
wiry.
Huskies will eat your face, but like actually.
That's I think I went for Ada. I believe. I'm not sure.
I didn't know which one was which, if I'm being honest. So I just voted for Cedric because that was the first one that came up, and I was like, I like that name. Beep. And maybe that's why they won. Who knows?
He is a little lovable son of a bitch. I'll give him that. So
I love a good. Is it a golden retriever?
I'm not sure if retriever or golden lab.
Lab, I think.
Thanks, lab. Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. They're made of love.
Yeah.
Those things are the sweetest dogs.
Yeah.
And I want one now. God damn it.
The husky, baring his teeth. Oh, he would win that fight so bad. Our viewers need to go down to Mexico every once in a while and watch a dog fight. Like, I'm just saying. No, they don't. That's terrible.
You almost made Joe spit.
Yep. The YouTube video just cuts out.
I'm pretty sure I think that's just Tijuana, isn't it?
No, that's for a different type of show.
I was gonna say you can watch the dog fights and the donkey show.
Yep.
No.
And for the record, I would cry. I would if I had to watch that show. Like it's.
Yeah.
I would cry watching the donkey show as well.
Not tears of joy, you sick bastard.
Tears of joy.
Ahsoka Edge jumped in here and said that Nick Shabazz would examine the weapon, say it's not a great slicer, which is totally wrong. That thing has such a wicked
bullshit.
Grind on it.
Yeah.
Total bullshit.
Forfeit.
And then what? Sorry.
And then forfeit.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an XL?
I don't think Lynn would take
Espada?
a forfeit. I think Lynn would be like, no, this is a knife fight.
He wouldn't accept it.
For all intents and purposes, this knife fight is probably happening in the Cold Steel warehouse. I mean, he's not going to let Nick just leave.
I didn't picture it
Nick
anywhere
just
else.
wakes up and he's in a crate. What happened?
I don't think the Z Hunter's allowed to stray far from home. I'm just it's it might be like an electric collar thing Shabazz has with that.
Right.
Yeah. It's like the GIMP in the basement type of thing going on, right? Like it's like
so, you're ashamed.
Showing around.
You're ashamed he's there, but you don't want him running away.
Why do you think he doesn't show his face?
That's the reason why. Actually, now I've got this mental image of Shabazz standing there.
Nick Shabazz just unfollowed us.
Oh no!
He's still there as far as I can tell.
Excellent.
Ahsoka also said that Ada is more aggressive, where Cedric is much more humble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think humble is a perfect word to describe either type of golden retriever or lab.
Yeah.
They love everything. And when the lab smiles, it just makes your heart happy.
Had a neighbor who had 3 golden retrievers, and they were just beautiful dogs. I think 2 of them were actually rescues, and just super kind-hearted, sweet little things.
That's too much love for any one animal.
Yeah.
Or one person, I should say, not animal.
Well, it was great being their neighbor, because every time I, like, as a little kid, going outside and look through the chain link fence, and there's these big 3 dogs, and, like, 2 of them old, and just wanting to do nothing but sit and watch you do whatever. It was great. Yeah.
Okay, so
meanwhile, I've lived with huskies. They're hellhounds. You think you think cats are bad for waking you up at 3 a.m? Nah, you haven't had it.
A husky will wake you up at 3 a.m. singing you the song of its people.
Yes, and I love huskies. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, if I had to choose between those two animals to have, I'd be pretty tempted to go
So
with the
my
retriever.
follow-up question that we didn't air this live, but we didn't go Basil against his other cat. I can't remember his other cat's
That'll
name.
be later rounds. That'll be later rounds.
Yeah, later.
That's the bonus round. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
There's still future weeks to come.
That's exactly it. We'll figure out some more. We're gonna have I was saying before in the group chat, like a March Madness kind of thing potentially.
We are going to pull out the
Build
March
down,
Madness
see who is the
bracket.
ultimate knife celebrity.
If
We'll get
advanced,
Joe to make up a spreadsheet.
oh yeah,
It'll be good.
We're
It'll
gonna-
be good.
Yeah.
we're gonna have brackets. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah,
Look at all that brackety goodness.
Okay, just for the record, though, we started off poorly with an odd amount of teams because we did 5 this week.
it's okay. We'll do
No, we
5.
did 4. We did 4.
Oh, is it only 4?
Okay.
Okay. We can deal with that. So
I mean,
On
how
that
else do you
note-
have a wild card if you don't do odd numbers?
I've
We'll
got
do
a
5 next week. Throw things off. On that note, I just want to say a quick shout out to Kiefer. What are you carrying tonight, brother?
Good day, sir.
And cheers.
So on to the 4th round then.
quick flash
yeah.
for the camera. Quick flash for the camera
Number-
when everyone else is carrying.
Because it's been a whole half hour since we showed it off, so may as well show it off again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Surprisingly different most of the way around.
Yeah.
Maybe not so surprising. Nice. Kiefer's rocking a brand new Sabenza. Is that a 31
Maybe.
or
Oh,
get one of the last 21s?
That is nice.
While that percolates through, round 4.
Round 4. For our final bout for the evening, we bring you a Mora showdown. From the Dutch Bushcraft Boys, we bring you Martin versus Mickey.
Yes.
Yes. All of that. Both of them, for the record, carrying Moras because, I mean, I think
It's fitting.
they might have done a review on every Mora that exists so far.
Pretty much, yeah.
They've certainly
have-
tried.
If nothing else, they have reviewed more Moras than anybody else I know. And that is not a complaint, because Mora knives are awesome, bang for your buck.
They sure are.
Nice. Kiefer's rocking a small 31 there.
31.
and-
Interesting.
This one actually is more in line with Ben versus Zach than Lynn Thompson versus Nick, which I'm a little bit surprised by. 63% voted for Martin, 37% for Mickey. If you don't watch the Dutch Bushcraft guys, you're doing yourself a disservice. They're fucking hilarious.
They are very funny boys.
Mickey is ripped, like
They're both
a
ripped.
UFC fighter ripped like, all the time because he's a dick like that.
Yep.
And then Martin is literally known on the channel as Muscles Hammer Guy. So, I mean,
He's a
And they
bit
also-
feral chested.
big dude, still
Yeah.
like muscle striation and stuff like that. Maybe not as much like shreddedness, but larger muscle bodies, I would say probably.
I mean, they did an episode where they actually simulated all the tests to get into the military. I don't remember
Yeah,
which
US,
one. Yeah.
U.S. Army,
Was it the US one that they did?
the U.S.
Yeah. Anyway, regardless of, like, they struggled on a couple things like cardio and like things like that type of thing, but like, yeah, they with practice confidently could very well just like today walk into the military and be fit enough to pass the exams. type of-
Yeah, like Mickey's does a lot of breakdancing and stuff like that. You've seen that in his videos. And Martin has trained kickboxing. Like he's been in his kickboxing garb on a couple of the videos. The interesting part about that, though, is that we actually got a vote from DBK. And DBK voted for Martin. And I'm like, I'm about 90% sure that the DBK Instagram is run by Mickey.
Mhm.
Also got a DM from DBK that was just like, it was a ha 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 that was this long. It was just the entire screen.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I actually think it's run by Martin, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
that's fair.
Because I think if you go back to, because Martin's own Instagram is like Martin on the Lookout.
Yeah.
And if you go back, it only goes back like a year or two when they got popular, whereas Mickey B's goes back a lot further. So I think Martin's initially was just the Dutch bushcraft.
That's even better. I love the fact that Martin voted for himself.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm gonna win that fight, son of a bitch. Like it's
Beat his ass. Muscles Hammer guy over here.
Yeah.
And my response, I picked Martin as well. And it literally was, one of them is called Muscles Hammer guy and the other one's not.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way, but the only way I would lean the other way is cardio. Is if you get them out in the forest and they can just run and keep away from each other, the cardio will play a part.
There's one X factor that you're forgetting here, though. That's the ultimate X factor on why Mickey would lose. Fart jokes.
What was that? Sorry?
Fart jokes.
Oh, yes. And Mickey's ability to make Martin laugh might get Martin laughing long enough that he just gets stabbed.
Potentially. I was just thinking that Martin would throw up a fat joke and Mickey would giggle like a 4-year-old boy and you could just kill him very easily because
Fair.
Like a 4-year-old boy. Just
I feel like that knife fight would literally devolve into a giggle fest by the end of it.
yeah.
a bloody giggle fest.
Don't like that.
Oh, that would be great.
Got Justin here in chat saying, whoops, I thought I was forgetting something. Hey guys, how long has this been going on?
It's been
42
going
minutes.
on long enough
So-
that we're probably just about to take a break.
Yes.
So
100%.
welcome aboard.
What are you carrying tonight, Justin? Did you put some pants on?
Did you buy a mini bug out so even if you didn't have pants, it'd be okay? Like, it's
I was gonna ask a question. I'm not gonna ask that question.
Or,
speaking
I
of
really-
feeling exposed, right? Like,
yes. That's what the comment I'm waiting for right now, honestly. I really appreciate the fact that both Nick and DBK responded. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
that is awesome.
I'm pretty disappointed that neither Ben nor Zach commented.
Okay, so they didn't even see it.
They're too busy ironing their collared shirts.
Well, and
Apparently.
so on the flip side of that, and that's funny. That's funny. on the flip side to that, though, neither one of those boys actually do post on the regular.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's entirely possible that they have not been on social media for the last 2 or 3 days because their personal accounts post few and far between.
Mhm.
So,
That's
other than when Ben actually released his knife a couple weeks ago, then he posted like a some bitch. And then he dropped off the radar again. It's kind of funny.
You know, as you do.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Plug my phone in. Get off my screen.
No.
Notification. Justin saying, never pants at home? What? The only reason I'm wearing pants right now is because I'm on stream and you
Accidents
never know.
happen.
Wow, and sometimes Joe doesn't pause our breaks.
It happens.
I am going to have a spit take at one point.
Good.
Keefer's
Can't
also
wait
saying
for it to
he's got-
hit the camera. Like, that's going to be awesome.
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Just
And then it's going to hit the screen behind it, and both of them are just going to go up in flames. And then it's going to set off the the thing.
Smoke
It's like
alarm.
a sprinkler.
Sprinkler.
No,
Well,
sprinkler.
I'm excited now.
Well, the good news is that you'll be kicked out of your apartment for reasons that you never expected to be.
Yeah.
I have insurance.
What about that's good?
Insurance.
Kiefer's saying he's got a Microtech Loot.
Oh,
L-U-D-T.
yeah,
Oh,
very cool.
What, sorry?
Microtech Loot. L-U-D-T.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what that looks like, but it's a Microtech, so it probably looks nice, and it makes me sad. Because I can't have it because it's a Microtech.
Well,
And
they do make some manual knives,
Yes. But all the ones that I want are not the manuals.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I want a Scarab like a son of a bitch, and I know that I can't have one, and it makes me sad in my heart. Womp womp. Yes. On that note, we should take a break and refresh our drinks.
Yep.
It's not a bad idea.
It has come that time again, people. We'll be back in a few moments and carry on this stream of rambling fun times.
We don't need bigger knife. Yeah.